Markkanen is the biggest name on the trade market if he's on the market. And I do believe, despite the skepticism around the league, oh, here's Danny. Danny's doing his thing. You give us 19 first-round picks and 45 swaps, and yeah, we'll move. Danny's got a price. He knows what the price is. In the end, it won't be I was going to say it won't be ridiculous. It probably would be ridiculous. But there's a price where he'll move Lauri Markkanen because the Jazz know we can't just do this thing every year where we pick 10th. Yeah. We know who the next two drafts are. What the guy who's the headliner of the 2026 draft, I believe, just transferred to a high school in Utah, right in their backyard. They know there's a price. There's also a possibility that they bump him up on August 6th and extend him and say, well, we think he has more trade value on this extension, especially if we can wink, wink, get it below the max. I don't know that will be palatable. Maybe it will. Markkanen likes it in Utah. He also wants to win. Like, at some point, he wants to win. And he's watching them in Summer League. He knows the roster. He knows what's coming. So here's the question. If you're the Warriors, what's the price for Markkanen? What is the deal for Markkanen that leaves enough in the cupboard where you can look at your team and think, the price we have paid in future assets, in youth, in picks, is worth it because A, Markkanen is 27, so he's going to be here a long time. And B, we have enough to actually make a deep playoff run right now. And so I would put it like this. Well, I'll just phrase that question to you open-ended. You go ahead.
Educated speculation. I think Podziemski would have to be in the deal. Obviously, you're talking about a ton of picks. I don't know how much the Jazz would press on Kuminga. I do think, like, if Podziemski's not in the deal, there wouldn't be a deal.
So Podziemski and 3 to 4 Warriors first-round picks and swaps, unprotected, betting against the Warriors going forward with Steph aging and Markkanen as the guy, and Draymond aging as well. And as I've said about the Lakers picks, people just say, well, 2 first-round picks, do whatever. Like, if they're unprotected, those picks from an old team, I don't care that they're in a big market that's got free agents interest before, like, those are valuable pieces. I put it like this. The question that's for me is, but all the discussion about the Golden State Warriors in the offseason has been about Klay Thompson leaving and going to your Dallas Mavericks, your home base team. Yeah. And obviously I've done that already. It's an emotional earthquake of a move for a legendary player like this to leave a legendary team like that. Chris Paul leaves, and that's one discussion. And then on the other end of the discussion is, well, should the Warriors trade for Lauri Markkanen as they tried to trade for Paul George in a sort of win-now move? Undiscussed is, like, the players who are actually on the Warriors team. Right. So let's start there and just do briefly, like, if there is no Markkanen, if there is no whatever move like that, what exactly is this team? Here's the roster. We have Curry, Podziemski, Wiggins, Kuminga, Green, a couple of centers in Trace Jackson Davis and Kevon Looney, a solid bench of, if they are the bench guys, the Anthony Melton, great signing on a 1-year deal. By the way, the rare 1-year deal that, unlike Dante DiVincenzo, is a big enough salary that they could re-sign him with non-bird rights. Buddy Hield is on board. Moses Moody's still here. Kyle Anderson comes in on a sign and trade. He fits that sort of Steve Kerr, read and react, screen, make random little plays. GP2 is still here. And you have to start with, like, what's the starting lineup of this team? Like, that's a fun place to kind of start. I initially penciled in, because remember, at the end of last season, Kuminga, after starting and thriving, went back to a bench role because they wanted to start Draymond and they wanted to start a traditional center, Trace Jackson Davis, and they just concluded correctly, I think, we could not play Kuminga, Green, and a non-shooting center at the same time. It's just not enough shooting. So I give you 2 options for this starting 5. My A choice is Curry, Podziemski, Wiggins, Kuminga, Green at center. We just started Draymond at center right off the bat. Yeah. I do think there is internal hope in Golden State for a Wiggins bounce back season if he's still on the team, and they would like to give him a chance at it. Then I thought Well, okay, let's say they want to start a center because Steve wants to start big sometimes, and Jackson Davis was really good last year. Do we just bite the bullet and go Curry, Podziemski, Kuminga, Green, Jackson Davis, and do the thing that they would not do last year? Because I got to tell you, man, I can't go Curry, Wiggins, Kuminga, Green, and Jackson Davis. That's not enough shooting. It's too big and kind of bulky of a lineup. I got to tell you, Tim, no matter what, I just think Kuminga has to start. There are iterations, and I polled this question to people all over the league and got different reactions to it. Maybe Moody starts. I think Melton is going to get a look as a potential starter. Maybe they bring Kuminga off the bench. No, Kuminga has got to start. And I will say this: did you see the Steve Kerr comments yesterday about the rumors that Kuminga has been bandied about in certain trade discussions?
Yeah, basically said everybody but Steph has been.
I'll tell you this right now. Between the starting lineup conversation we're having right now, which is surely going on within the Warriors, between the yo-yo of the Kuminga minutes in the role last year and his production, and between the trade talks that may or may not be happening about Lauri Markkanen, which may or may not include Kuminga, we'll get there, and between Kuminga being eligible for an extension right now, this is going to come to a head soon, and maybe as soon as Las Vegas, when everybody gets there, like the Warriors front office, I don't know who's there yet. Kuminga's agents surely will be there. But let's just focus on the team for now. I think no matter what, Kuminga has got to start, which means for me, I'm starting the Draymond at center lineup and rolling from there. And my bench is some combination of Melton, Moody, Hield, GP2, Kyle Anderson. I got two centers coming off the bench. I got a lot of directions I can go. There's a lot of good players on the team.
They've got 12 proven rotation players. No question about that. And look, obviously the Clay thing was an emotional deal. But they didn't break up the dynasty. The dynasty was done, and they're moving on. The old two timelines thing. The guy who has really hit on that from that has been Kuminga. And I think you've either got to start him or aggressively look to move him, because like you said, it was a thing last year, and his camp made some noise, and then. Steve Kerr came out and said, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't have had him riding the pine while we were losing a close game to the Nuggets after he was playing extremely well. And he was in the starting lineup after that. There's no question he's a starting caliber player. I mean, he really did take a leap last year. And, I think there are people, on his side of things who'd say, yeah, the leap was he had a bigger role. Like he's been capable. He had more opportunity. So I just don't think bringing him off of the bench is something that's going to be a manageable situation moving forward.
This is why I mentioned Vegas. If they all meet in Vegas and everybody meets in Vegas and the message is, hey, we're going to go into training camp, it's going to be Steve's decision. Maybe he comes off the bench, maybe he doesn't. I just don't think that can fly anymore. I think that could be a radioactive bomb thrown at the Kuminga camp.
Especially given the he doesn't have an extension in place. Given this is a guy who has every right to feel like, hey, I'm a 9-figure type of player on my next deal. It's going to be hard to do that if I'm playing 26 minutes a game off the bench. So yes, I think he either has to start or you've really got to look to get value for him in the trade market. I personally would put him in the starting lineup. Between him and Podziemski, you've got two really good young players in that group.
I think Pods is starting. I just think they fell in love with his game last year and all the things that he does. She shot it well enough. I think you can make an argument for Moody. I think Melton would get some looks, and maybe both of those guys get looks in the Wiggins spot if that goes south. But I think Podziemski goes in ahead of those guys as a potential starter.
Anna and Kevin with you. Developing story from the NBA. After losing Klay Thompson, the Warriors are not prepared to see the other Splash brother walk. GM Mike Dunleavy said today that Steph Curry will be a Warrior for life. His deal is set to expire after the 25-26 season, but he is eligible to extend it by a year this summer. On the scene at Summer League in Las Vegas is our Warriors reporter, Kendra Andrews. Kendra, what more can you tell us about their plans to make Steph a Warrior for life?
Yeah, Hannah, Dunleavy wants to get Steph locked in, and in order to do so, he said, look, Steph can have pretty much anything he wants. They want to get him on that extension, but those contracts right now aren't booming just because of where we're at in the NBA schedule. It was the draft, free agency. Here we are at Summer League. Steph is in Abu Dhabi with Team USA and the Olympics. But the hope is that as summer continues, those conversations will pick back up. Their number one priority, the top of the Warriors to-do list, is to take advantage of the rest of Stephen Curry's prime. So Dunleavy said every move they're making right now is with that in mind. Get him the best support pieces they can. But in order to support him, they have to have him, right? So they want to get him locked up for beyond the end of his contract. They feel that he has a lot left in the tank.
Yeah, and he's going to make nearly $56 million next season as it stands now. He's going to have to go on without his splash brother, Klay Thompson. What did Dunleavy say about whether the Warriors will make another move in free agency this summer, Kendra?
Yeah, it's something to monitor, Hannah, but don't expect anything to happen right away. Right now, the market is a little bit quiet. It's not moving very much. And because of that, Dunleavy said, we have to go forward as if this group of 14 guys right now is the group we're going to be heading into camp with. And with that group, their young core, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Brandon Pajemski, Trace Jackson Davis, they're going to be relied on heavily. Several of those guys were in and out of the starting lineup last season. And Kuminga and Moody are two guys that Dunleavy said he also wants to find extensions for this summer. For Pajemski and Jackson Davis, they're here in Las Vegas participating in Summer League, trying to get more reps, progress their game more to be ready to contribute in a really big way. Without Klay Thompson, there is a starting job open, and all four of those guys will be competing for that spot.
Interesting.
How active would you describe your current trade talks and search to keep improving this roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the free agency stuff has kind of calmed down. We're at 14 guys up against the first apron, so adding in that regard right now would be tough, but you're always looking around the league to get better. Talking with teams, exploring stuff. I like our team, but there's also some things that we can look at to improve it, and we'll continue to do that leading up to camp and into the season.
So if this is the roster entering the season, how good do you think they could be?
Well, I think a little bit like last year, going into it, I thought we had a better team than the prior year. I feel the same way, but like, what does that mean? I mean, last year our record was better. We didn't make the playoffs. So, I think we can be better. We should be better, but a lot goes into it. Health, chemistry, all that. But, I feel really good about where we're at. I think our team does too, our coaching staff. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I think with all those guys, first and foremost, just good basketball players. They have certain skill sets that we were looking for. Buddy with the shooting, Anthony with the shooting and his defense. And then Kyle was a guy we recognize as a really good player. He ended up being on the board a couple days in. It was like, man, if we had an opportunity to get a player like this, grab him. And he was all in, on board. And I think when you add good basketball players to a mix, I think we have confidence in them being able to figure it out and Steve lead them in with what we already have. We just felt at the end of the day to grab three guys that are like experienced, can play, know how to play, can play both ends. Got to do it. You
did add Buddy, but obviously you lost Klay. Shooting was something you guys did identify going into the summer. I mean, how do you feel about the shooting on this team, and do you see a weakness on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the shooting standpoint, adding Buddy really helps with losing Klay. But on top of it, I think there's room for others to step up. And that's where, in terms of like volume and accuracy, we need guys shooting three more. And that can be internal. Certainly with Moses, with Wiggs, with BP, JK, all those guys I think can make shots, and they'll have to, we'll have to improve our three-point shooting as a team. I would have said with Klay back, anyway we had to, right? With Klay and Steph, there's just a high volume of threes those guys produce, and then everybody else was a little bit lower. I'd like to get that up with everybody else being a little bit more even, and just being more threats from outside. But I think we can do that, but at the same time, we'll always look to improve and add more.
With Buddy, like what did kind of
talks with Kuminga and Moody, how soon do you expect that to?
Yeah, I mean, that stuff will pick up. I mean, we want those guys here. We believe in them. We drafted them. And so, our focus will always be about retaining our guys. I mean, it's been really important in the past, whether it's dating back to Steph and Klay and Draymond, but moving forward with, even a guy like Jordan Poole, who we extended. I mean, he's not here with us now, but it was important for us to extend him, and it'll be important for us to try and get deals done with JK and Moses.
Steph extension eligible as well, right? Have there been any discussions there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that too. I mean, look, that guy can whatever he wants. So we'll get through all that stuff. It's been a sprint here getting through the draft and free agency and the summer league and all that, but all that stuff will get figured out, and I think stuff will be, I think I'll say pretty confident he'll be a Warrior for life.
It's time for the Warriors to consider a risky move. For years, the Warriors played conservatively, re-signing their veteran stars while using draft picks on young prospects. That was the two-timeline strategy championed by owner Joe Lacob. While it brought them victory in the 2022 NBA Finals, it proved inadequate to sustain their dynasty. The upcoming offseason emerges as a critical moment for the Golden State Warriors, ready to reshape the franchise's trajectory. Will they commit to one last attempt at winning the championship, or will they opt for a financial restructuring? Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office face a series of daunting choices, leaving fans eager to discover the team's next moves. Expectations surrounding Golden State's future intensify. Before you finish, make sure to subscribe to the channel. After all, as we said before, we are producing Warriors videos almost every day. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on Gold-Blooded News. In conclusion, the future looks uncertain for the Golden State Warriors. With the possibility of losing and adding players to the team and the various trade options available, the Warriors are well positioned to continue to be a force to be reckoned with in the NBA. Stay tuned for more updates on the Warriors, and remember to support by leaving your feedback in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to know when I will send new news. Thank you for following Gold-Blooded News. A hug and see you next time.
We're gold-blooded!
Go Dubs!